Batman Incorporated number 6, written by Grant Morrison, art by Chris Burnham and Andre Guinaldo. Last issue left off with the B team squad of Batman Incorporated being blown up by a bomb, and this issue picks up with Batman angrily driving towards where I believe the bomb was, and the police are already there. They've roped it off, and Gordon tells Batman, hey, they have hostages and they only want you in there. And Batman's like, Gordon, I'm sorry about this. This is like a family thing. I'm sorting it out, though. And as Batman makes his way in, we see he's called in an entire fleet of Iron Man bat drones, where they all just start crushing in the doors and whatnot and acting as Batman's lookout. And he's like, Gordon, keep everybody clear. Don't trust anybody. Leviathan is everywhere. This is the last stand. Here we go. So he goes in, and apparently Talia set up this whole thing about the parable of the goat herd, which is in 12 different images of a guy who lost a goat and goes out and finds it and something like that. Just know it's there. It's constantly popping up, but they don't really tie into anything as vocally as you would expect. So Batman's just kind of making his way through the building, trying to get to the hostages and wherever Talia is. Meanwhile, we cut to the B team, and turns out that Batwing managed to survive pretty easily, as did Knight. Halo and Looker both took the worst of the blast. They're badly injured, not doing so hot. And Squire, the Robin to Knight, is not breathing. She is functionally dead, and Knight is freaking out about it. So Batman makes his way through the building. He reaches a spiral staircase where all of the flights of stairs have gunmen, and Talia's like, these were normal people. I gave them purpose through Leviathan. That's what you could never do. I literally turned the normal people of Gotham against you. And they all start firing. Batman sets off some concussive and gas grenades, takes them all out without killing them, and he makes his way into the next room, which of course he's just following the pictures of the goat herd thing. So we cut back to the Batcave, and there's all the Robins: Jason Todd, Nightwing, Damian, and Red Robin, and basically they're all just arguing with each other. And Red Robin is specifically like, hey, you guys do whatever. I'm currently trying to get a pinpoint on Batman and see if we can do anything from here, because he specifically told us to stay here. And Alfred shows up, and he's like, hey, Damian, you remember how you had Batcow? It's only been 6 issues, and I'm giving you a new one. And he opens up a little cage that has a cat inside of it. And Damian's like, why would you think I would want this cat? And the cat starts hissing at Damian. He's like, oh, I get it. He's a dick. Okay, yeah. I'm going to name him Alfred. So at that point, Red Robin manages to lock on, or it may be without his permission, and Talia's just doing it. But basically the comm link that Talia and Batman have is coming over the Bat computer. So he makes his way into a room where a bunch of mannequins are. They all have clocks on their chests. They're bombs. We'll get to it. And he makes his way into a further room that has 3 bowls of tea. And it turns out this room had a poison gas in it, and only one of the bowls of tea has the antidote. Batman, in literally one panel, sorts it out. He's like, it's that one. Takes the sip. And as he's running back out the room again, the mannequins start exploding. Batman jumps out the window. He's immediately assaulted by a bunch of Man-Bat, soldiers, I guess. That's where the Iron Man drones come in to defend Batman. Batman busts in through another window, takes out some more average Joes who are wielding guns against him. And then he gets into a final room where it looks like Talia is sitting in the dark, but it turns out just to be a mannequin. And Talia basically says, Batman, Bruce, I literally could not give less of a crap about our son. I don't want Damian. I know your whole thing last issue is that he had to come back with me. I don't want him. I genuinely don't care. This whole thing, though, is about you having to choose. Either you choose to save the city or you choose to save your son. whichever one you don't pick, I am going to kill. And so he walks out of the room. He makes his way into the next section, and we see all of the hostages tied up, ropes around their necks, all linking daisy chained. And big hulking guy, who I happen to know is named the Heretic, but they don't name him here, so I'm just going to call him the Heretic. He's got a big boulder that is on the end of all these ropes, and he throws the boulder down the spiral staircase. The hostages all just start falling one by one. Batman is seemingly unable to save like 3 or 4 of them before he's trapped underneath the building, which starts collapsing a little bit more. We go back to Knight and Squire. Knight's like, all right, I'm really starting to freak out here, Batwing. And Batwing's like, did you hear something? I feel like there's someone up here with us. And Knight's like, all right, screw this, you're no help. And he pulls out a taser and tases Squire to start her heart again. And it works. She does come back. But Batwing is attacked by Heretic from behind, knocks him out, and then walks over to Knight. And just as Squire is coming to, he picks up Knight by the neck, squeezes it, and snaps his neck. And Squire fires off a little slingshot to damage the Heretic's visor. She is, of course, very upset. And at that point, Batman manages to make it up. He lands some good shots on Heretic, but Heretic still has the upper hand strength-wise. We see a shot of the Batcave where they're all listening to Batman get the crap beat out of him. So Jason Todd's like, all right, he said that I'm in charge. He put Wingman in charge while he's out. I'm saying we're going in. Let's go. And Damian's like, yeah, I'm coming with. And Nightwing's like, no, you ain't. You're going to stay here, Damian. And he's just like, dude, literally all of this is going to happen because of me. Like, I have to be the one that saves the day here. And we see the last panel is Heretic picking up Batman, throwing him through, I guess, the final image of the goat herd thing. And he falls off the building as a whole bunch of children start showing up and attacking the police barricade. Because I kind of skipped over that because I forgot about it. Talia has basically been indoctrinating all the children of Gotham and turning them Leviathan. That was explained in an earlier issue, but she did just out and out say it here. So, yeah, there's that. Obviously, the major point of this issue was establishing that Talia doesn't want Damian either. It is literally all just a Sophie's choice on Batman of Gotham or his son. And in that regard, I think the issue did a decent enough job of like, okay, I'm interested. The emotional point of Knight and Squire, I think that landed very well. The only thing I think is kind of I wouldn't even say flaw, but the weirdest part of it is the whole goat herder story of like, oh, it's told in 12 parts through these images. And like every once in a while they'll interact with it and be like, ah, yes, this part of the story. But like, it feels like someone just read that book. Like Morrison just read about that fable. And he's like, oh man, it's really cool. I'm going to work that into my story. The same way that like, so many things work in like the Zodiac or tarot cards, like the major arcana. Like it felt like that sort of thing where it's like, ah, yes, these 12 things I can make represent this other thing. It's like, okay, but do you need it? Because it felt kind of just tacked on there for no particular reason. Even Talia says like, the original story is usually an ox, but I changed it to goat because that's kind of going with our theming here. So yeah, it's an iffy issue in terms of that theming, but in terms of it setting up, okay, Damian's the center of this Sophie's Choice of Batman, and Heretic is extremely strong. It set up those two well enough, and I think it did a fine job there. So I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 7. It's a low 7, but it's still a 7. So we will see what happens next issue.